Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Final Fantasy BFX's video. We got for you Elena and Rict for you. So let's look at Elena first. So her S2 is stackable. Just want to point that out very quickly. She has True Brave Shift, so she has infinite turns being able to shift between forms. So very nice. 750% all stats for Clash Wills units and Clash Wills. Outside of Clash Wills, that will not take effect, but Clash Wills is one of the biggest things in the game, so I think that's pretty good. Tank form and her base form, so if she goes down, this is probably one of the better parts compared to Esther in terms of just this one mechanic. I'm not comparing them one to one, just comparing mechanics. If she goes down in her Brave Shift form for some reason, she'll go back to her base form and she'll be able to tank in the very next turn, so you won't be screwed out of being able to tank if she goes down. So at least there's that. She has Omni cover on a cooldown, so most tanks are gonna have this nowadays, so it's okay. It's pretty good. I mean, you would use it for like one turn and you really need it, pretty much. 150% ice amp, which is surprising. Usually they don't give tanks this, so pretty good. 75% magic mitigation versus demon, human, fairy. It would be nice if that was also general mitigation, but I believe it's only just magic. And then she has in her Brave Shift form. I knew she would have the 8 times cap, but I'm just gonna put it here, 8 times cap. So she'll be able to chain pretty well with a lot of characters because she has 8 times cap. She'll be able to keep up. But with all that out of the way, let's go into some of the negatives here. As I'm sure you guys are pretty much already aware, her information's been out for a few hours. Everybody's already concluded. Her damage is just not very good. Her mitigation is not that good. But that leader skill is really good. So it's kind of like up in the air. You're kind of like putting it on a scale. You're putting things on like one of those scales, and it's moving back and forth, and just like. So one thing that I feel like a lot of people are not talking about is that her field effect. You can only use it one time, and I just feel like Gumi are valuing it way too highly, because the field effect, the 100% stat field effect, is just not nearly as good as an LB damage field that Cecil has. Not saying that Cecil's better than her or worse or whatever, but I'm just saying that the field 100% LB damage field is much better than a 100% stat field, or even an amp or imperial field is just better than a stat field. But I guess if you literally don't have anything else, I guess it's okay, but I just feel like you're gonna have other fields. There's some other characters who have better fields than this, so the only thing that you would ever use it for is if you have nothing else, or it doesn't impact your side. Like, for example, Tsukiko's Imperial Field doesn't impact your side, I believe, right? It only goes to the enemy side, so it's something. And of course, her damage is just really wonky. Even with 8 times cap, her damage is below Wilk, apparently. In terms of just early calculations, I believe. Yeah, so not looking good in that regard, unfortunately. I'm not sure why her damage is that low, and you need to use her base LB and Brave Shift cooldown to even have some modifiers. So not sure why they made it like that, but you're really bringing her for the tanking aspect. The damage is just kind of like a nice cherry on top, pretty much, because she can, still tank in her Brave Shift form. She loses some HP, so you'll need to account for that in her Brave Shift form. But still, I think she's okay. I feel like she's just in the okay section. She's not bad. People are overreacting way too highly on Elena. I feel like you need to pump the brakes a little bit. Let's chill out. Let's look at the unit more in depth. I feel like she's just okay, and I think that's not a hot take. Maybe it is for some of you guys. Maybe you think that's a hot take to call her okay. I think she's just okay. She's not terrible. She's not great. I think calling her great would be also an overreaction and a little, on the deep end, but calling her the worst anniversary unit is really an overreaction, in my opinion, because there's probably been a lot worse, like Wilk. Even on release, he wasn't really that great, besides the 9% break. So I'm going to give her 7.5 out of 10. She's just okay. Her leader skill is very good in Clash of Wills. I feel like you're bringing her for the leader skill because those stats are so high. For 750% for all stats, except for HP and MP. So I feel like that's insane, because even JP units don't have that. They only have 200% for defense and spirit. But on this unit, you have 750% defense and spirit, so you're going to be having a lot of... She's probably going to have like what, like some ridiculously high defense and spirit number, mostly spirit. I wouldn't be surprised if she had like what, like 16, 17k spirit or more on a leader skill when she's on her own leader skill in Clash of Wilds, maybe even 20k plus. I mean, there are ways of increasing her spirit, so I would not be surprised if she had such a high spirit value. I wish I knew how to calculate it, but I do not currently. So I'm just assuming based off of 750% attack and magic that she'll have 16, 17, 18k, maybe even more, since her S team are stackable in terms of spirit. So that being said, her vision card is not really worth looking at. It's just the typical vision card. It's just okay, not really that amazing. And her EX3 vision card, I've already talked about it in my news video. I've already talked about it in my live stream summary. It's a pretty good vision card. It's not worth chasing really, because you're not, I don't think many people even have resources to go EX3 on her unless you're a whale and you're going to do it anyways. So I think her vision card is really good, and the EX3 one, not the EX1 one. The EX1 one is just okay. It's kind of just filler, but you would definitely like to have it eventually, the EX3 version, and then the step up version is just the amp. The amp vision card, I didn't make a slide for it just because it's the same thing we've already been seeing before. It's just the amp, the single target amp vision card, which is okay. If you're going the distance for Elena, then you'll probably get it. So it would just be a nice thing to have. The better thing on that vision card is the killers at the end, in my opinion. But anyways, let's move on to Rict. Alright, I got Rict here, who's also true brave shift unit, so there's no, only 4 turns and then you have to shift back or anything like that. 150% light amp, no EX needed, and 250% demon fairy and human killer. And I saw and I knew already that this would be an error on the wiki. It says that he has some rechargeable skills, but I'm being like, people are saying that he does not have rechargeable skills, but they still haven't removed him from the wiki for some reason, because it's been several hours. Even this, it came out only like 40 minutes after maintenance came online. His kit came out and I saw it and it had the rechargeable stuff, and now it's like 6-7 hours later and they still haven't removed it. So now I'm wondering if he does have rechargeable skills. I'm not sure. We're gonna go on the notion that he does not have rechargeable skills in this review, but if he does, cool, that'd be great. But currently we're just gonna go on the notion that he does not. So the Brave Shift LB can be really well used outside of Clash of Wilds because it's 530 times, which is the normal premium like esque modifiers for like rain and squall and whatnot. So those are very good. Not even needing any cooldown boost, so you can get him going like on turn 1 or turn 2 right away. That's actually really valuable. It also has extreme Nova frame ability chaining. It's on a cooldown, but you can use it the next turn anyways because it's a 1-turn cooldown. So not sure why they didn't just make it a normal ability, but the ability modifier is just okay. I think it's like 4,000 times, which is just okay. I mean, it's not, to a new player, like, oh my god, 4,000 times modifier, that's insane. But it's an ability modifier, so it's not as good as an LB damage modifier. So if it was like 7,000 times, then we'd be talking a little bit more, but only 4,000, just okay. So yeah, Rict's leader skill is also pretty good, but Elena's is obviously the one you would be looking at for the leader skill. Rict is just, his leader skill is just okay. And now let's go into some of the weaknesses. 24 hits, and his base LB is it's just not, there's not very many partners for that. So you need really specific, not super specific, but you need some specific units in order to chain with him. Like Squall, for example, since he's also light. Squall will probably be the best partner in Clash of Wills. Or if you just don't want to use his base LB, you could just use 27 hits with someone else. That would be a lot more easy to obtain because there's a lot of 27 hit units in the game, so that'd be a lot easier to do. And definitely not rely on his breaks. Not really sure why they're so low. He was categorized as a breaker, but his breaks are not very good. He even has 85% magic attack and magic breaks on one of his abilities. Not sure why that's a thing. He should definitely have 89 or 90% at least, and he does not. So Don't rely on his brakes, guys. Do not bring him for his brakes. That's just what I'm saying. Anyways, moving on. He has 35% sword and peril on his brave shift W for some reason. I'm not sure why that is. He does have 40% somewhere in his kit. I saw in the wiki it somewhere on one of his passives. He unlocks a 40% sword and peril, but that should be on the LB as well, and it should definitely be at least 45% because he's a premium. At least 40% on that. 35%. I mean, come on. So those are some of his drawbacks, but his damages are going to be pretty high because he has 150% amp, so you can't ignore that. But other than the amp and him being pretty strong, at least he can be used outside Clash Wheels. I mean, outside of Clash Wheels, his Brave Shift LB will definitely be pretty valuable. I can already see people using him, especially since he does not need any EX requirements for the amp, which is really surprising because most EX2 units, I guess only the JP ones, need EX2 for the 150% amp. He does not need any requirements for that, so definitely a plus in that regard if you can only afford EX1. Yeah, in Clash Wheels you'll be penalized in the rank 1 clear a little bit if you don't have other EX levels, but in Dark Visions at EX1 you'll have a 150% amp unit that can chain with most characters. So, not the worst thing. And I'm going to give him this 8.25. I can't give him an 8.5 or higher because he does not have an on-demand imbue. The last global character, Ibarra, I believe, wasn't it Ibarra? And in terms of DPS, has a dark imbue for everybody. And, well, she's premium, so I don't really know why he doesn't have an imbue. But I mean, he has imbues, cooldown imbues, but if you get KO'd or dispelled, that's an issue, but not the biggest issue, but it is up there, and it's kind of holding him down a little bit. And then the 24 hit thing is kind of, I'm not really sold on it yet for global because you need some units that people might not have pulled for, like Rain. A lot of people did pull for Rain, but some people may not have. And then there's Squall, which a lot of people did not pull for either because the anniversary was so close. And so, yeah. I was going to say Ace 2, but no, he has 27 hits. So, there really aren't very many 24 hitters. You kind of have to like weave it in with another chain, and it's just not, you know, especially for new players, that's not going to be too fun to do. New players probably don't even know how to do that. I mean, if you do, props to you. You're already ahead of the game, but some new players probably don't even know how to interweave chain, and that's something that new players shouldn't be involved with. They shouldn't be forced to try to weave things in and hopefully the chain doesn't break and super annoying things happen. So I think 8.25 is not a huge, you know, controversy of a score. He's a good damage dealer, but that's really all he's doing is just being a good damage dealer. His breaks are not something you care about. I call them like emergency breaks. Like if something happens where you can't break that turn for some reason, your normal breaker is dead the turn for some reason, or something bad happens, you can use those 87% or 80% breaks, I guess, if you really wanted to. But that's not the reason you're bringing him. So hopefully that's not too controversial. I don't want to be controversial here. I want to be down the middle, just telling you how it is. And I just feel like he's a good damage dealer, but that's it. So if you need a really good damage dealer, then he's your guy. If you have Squall, if you have Rain, if you have Dwayne, if you have Ibarra, might not be looking, you know, the most hot right now. You know, you have a lot of damage dealers already to work with. For me, I don't have Squall, but I do have Rain. So I guess it would be okay to get him. I may pull for either or, I'm not sure yet, but I don't have, you know, unlimited resources, so I kind of have to pick or choose. So we'll have to see. But anyways, guys, that's going to be our review. Thank you guys very much for watching. Appreciate you. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. If I got something wrong, let me know in the comment section down below as well. And if you disagree with anything that I've said, that's okay to post in the comment section down below as well. I'm not going to delete your comments. I mean, I reply to every single comment, but I don't delete comments anymore. I kind of just leave them, let them be, and just let the public see the comments. So I'll see you guys in the next comment section. This comment section, and I'll see you in the next video too. That's what I meant to say. Peace.